Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Q&A podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Avant. I'm here with my main man, Quintin Mikell. Q, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be back. Excited for another show. And what a good time to be an Eagles fan, right?
No, it's been a good time for sure. 3-0 Eagles. Only one of two teams in the National Football League that remains undefeated. We're going to get into the game and talk about Jalen Hurts, talk about Devonta Smith, talk about the defense, rack up 9 sacks. Brandon Graham, 2.5 sacks. A lot of guys playing really well. Saw some impressive things in the secondary as well. Q, we're going to get into that. But before we do, let's do our housekeeping. We want to say thank you to everyone that's making the Q&A podcast possible, to Adam, to Jeff, to everyone that's responsible, Tyler, to Josh, all the fans that are tuning in. Make sure that you email your questions to insidethebirds@gmail.com. Again, email your questions to insidethebirds@gmail.com. You can also look at us on YouTube, Inside the Birds, on YouTube channel. Also, you can check us out Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Apple Music. Make sure you're checking us out on our social medias as well. And also tune in to our pregame with me, Adam, Greg Cosell, and Jeff Mosher. Also the postgame, Trey Thomas, Adam, and Jeff Mosher. Make sure you're checking us out on all of our platforms. Let's get right into this game, Q. Big picture takeaway for you. Eagles are one of two teams that are still undefeated. Us in Miami. Are we legit Super Bowl contenders? I'm feeling the buzz here in Philadelphia. What do you think?
Absolutely. First of all, start off 3-0 at any level is amazing. And to me, it's the way that they're doing it. Just complete domination, especially these last two games. You're seeing growth in not only Jalen, but the receiving core. You're seeing growth in the defensive play calling. You're seeing offensive play calling, keeping teams off balance. So I'm excited, man. This team is looking legit, and you don't want to jinx it, but
don't want to peak too soon.
They look ready to go.
Yeah, definitely don't want to peak too soon, right?
No doubt, yeah.
So I think I said this on NBC Sports Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago. And when you break down the NFC, there's no dominant team but the Eagles so far. When you look at the landscape of Tampa's losing, they're banged up. You look at the Rams and what they've been able to accomplish thus far, they're definitely missing a second receiver, definitely missing another pass rusher. They definitely miss Von Miller, right? There's a lot of things that they're short up front as far as offensive line as well, losing a few offensive linemen to retirement. So they're struggling, and Green Bay's been up and down. When you look at all the teams in the NFC, the Eagles are, at this point, the best team in the NFC. And when you look at that planning out with the schedule, we're definitely Super Bowl contenders. Now, we got to continue to play well. There's a few things that we're going to talk about, but overall, they played extremely well. What's been the biggest surprise of 3-0 start? Like, what's been the biggest surprise like for you? Has it been the play of the receivers? Has it been the offensive line play? Has it been Jonathan Gannon's maturity? Has it been Nick Sirianni's play calling? What's been your biggest takeaway from the 3-0 start? Like your biggest surprise?
For me, the biggest surprise has been Jalen Hurts and the way he's progressed. I mean, it's night and day. Watching, especially his last game, watching him just pick apart the Commanders secondary, and just with such ease and confidence. And we said it before, we said it last year. This team, in order to get to where they want to get to, he's got to step up to the plate, and he by far has done probably the biggest job stepping up. And then my other thing I'll add to that is Gannon. I think he's done a very good job. In the offseason, probably went back and reassessed, his calling and the scheme, and it looks like he's revamped it, and he's letting the guys play. He's trusting in that secondary, trusting in that front 4 and 5. So to me, those two stick out the biggest for me.
Yeah. I would say Jalen Hurts is without a doubt. There are so many mechanical problems that he had last year with not recognizing the tempo of the NFL and getting the ball up late. Him at times just not knowing where to go with the football, and him leaving the pocket when there was clear throws to be made inside the pocket. You know, just inaccuracy at times, just bad mechanics. He's corrected a lot of those things, and he's throwing a ball with confidence. He's not aiming. He's not hoping. He's firing the football, and he's firing it like, this is who I am. And that's great to see. It's encouraging for all the fans, and big up to, the organization and to those that, believed in him, because this is not a short thing. It's not like a thing where the organization owed him this. There's something about Jalen Hurts' character, something about his leadership style, something about him that someone in the organization said he has an it factor to the point that I'm going to draft him second round. I'm going to remove the current franchise quarterback and put him in, even though he isn't playing up to standard. He's not playing up to par. I believe in this kid. So there's a lot of people that deserve credit for this type of production from Jalen Hurts in the organization, because around the league, the consensus was that he was a 1-2 read quarterback. He wasn't worth it. They were building around the wrong guy. Not so fast, my friend, like Lee Corso would say, not so fast, my friend. And he's doing a great job. And I can't say anything, negative. There's some critiques that I have, but when you put him with this receiving core that's making these types of plays, and the way that he's willing to let the ball go out of his hands, he's done a phenomenal job. So I would say the biggest surprise thus far in these 3 games is Jalen Hurts. He has the most yards, right? Combined yards of any player in Eagles history in the first 3 games at quarterback.
Wow.
I didn't know that. He's balling. He only now, so there's things that, there's things that are happening that in his first 3 games, this year that are historic. So nice. Yeah, balling. All right. So what's the kryptonite? What kryptonite do you see for the team? They definitely have had the last 2 weeks. They started like gangbusters, 24-0, leads, or, and haven't been able to do much after that. That's one of the things I see, and I'll get into it a little bit later, but I want to give that to you.
Yeah. Obviously finishing games has been kind of their kryptonite so far. We'll talk about a little bit more too, but shoring up the run game, defensive run game in the middle, shoring that up a little bit. And it's still early. I think right now, when you have a young team like this, a lot of success early on, I don't want to jinx them or anything like that, but sometimes you'll tend to get a little bit overconfident. And so I think mentally, as long as this team stays on the grind, and they have a lot of veteran presence, especially on that defense, that'll keep everybody kind of grounded. But as long as they keep their mind on the focused on what the goal is to get a championship, I think they'll be fine. But so for me right now, the only thing I can see is really is, can they hurt themselves? Can they keep this focus and this drive for 17 weeks? So it's all in them. It's all on them, man. It's all on them right now.
I like having fun on the sidelines with the Batman and the 3 Batmans and all of that stuff that they were doing. They got to realize that the game is still within hand, right? 24 points in the NFL is not that much. That's a few drives. It's a bad mistake on your end and a few good drives from another team. So I would like to see them, step in there and compete. But also, where's the run game when it comes to closing the games? I think we're throwing the ball entirely too much with these leads and not depending on the run game as much. Now, I will say that Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne shut down our run game, and they were clearly giving our middle three the blues. They were giving them the blues the entire game. And now we had a few run lanes, but most of our runs were off tackle. They were, most of our good runs were off tackle. We had a few that hit up in the middle, a few. And the reason they would get those is they double teamed up to it, right? And the linebackers didn't show. But we got to figure out a way to be able to move that level of player, because those dudes are big and they're super strong in comparison. I was like, man, I love Jason Kelce, but Jason was having a hard time moving those dudes, so we got to figure out how we can close ball games out with the run, which we should be able to. And I think because we're doing so well in the past, and we have so many great receivers, that we're starting to become, a 70-30 pass team, which we really should be a 50-50, 60-40 pass team. So we got to make sure that we don't forget about that. And I think that may be a kryptonite for us at some point, because we're having so much success passing it. We're getting a little bit past happy at the wrong times, especially when it comes to closing out a ball game. And our team can do that. Remember, it's muscle memory. When the run was all we had, we were really good at it. When you start passing it, you start getting good at kick slide. You forget the mechanics of running. So we got to make sure that balance is there so our guys won't lose it.
Yeah. No doubt, man.
Yeah.
All right. So let's continue with this, man. I want to kind of get off subject because, watching the game, I want to know what your thought was. Now, punt return, and this is kind of out of left field, but punt returner Covey, he's been kind of up and down, all right? But when I saw Devonta lining up at punt returner, what was your initial thought, man? Because I'm like, I don't know.
You don't like it? You know what? The best players, like, this is the thing. I know that from a health and wellness perspective, you're looking at it like, man, we need this dude. And I get that. But when you look at the best players, your best players, they're usually so athletic and so good that they dominate the special teams aspect of the game. So Antonio Brown, he dominated the punt return position. Brian Westbrook dominated the punt return position. Deshaun Jackson, when he wanted to do it, dominated the punt return position. And it's like that for a lot of those guys. They wanted to see if he was one of those guys. Do I think that he's going to be elite punt returner? I don't know if he has the lateral quickness to be able to get it. I know that he has quickness and he's subtle with his movements and route running. It's totally different stop and start when it comes to that. So, and again, why does it look like when Covey gets tackled, he's getting hit by a brick wall and he's just flying? God. It just looks like he doesn't belong out there. It looks like that kid that's playing with the 15-year-olds and he's 11 and he's getting tagged. That's what it looks like. It looks like he's a bag of marshmallows getting smacked around. Like, you know what I mean? It just no weight. So,
you know what he reminds? Do you remember?
It looked like Bloom, and that's what I'm saying. And it's like, and what we're talking about, we're not talking about race as far as the white guy punt returner. We're talking about the way it looks when he's getting tackled because he's so light.
Yeah.
It just looks like it hurts. It's like, man, like why is his feet off the ground? Like usually when you get tackled, like you go down. Like your feet is not like horizontal at all. Like, you know what I mean? It looks like the tackling bag, the one that's weightless, when guys go through and smack it and it just flies. That's what it looks like.
Oh, that's too funny.
Am I lying though? It's
no,
like, I'll be like, every time he gets tackled, I'm like, ooh.
There was one time I'm like, oh my God. He was like, he got hit square on by 3 dudes at one time. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, but he's tough. He's getting in there. If he whatever he does, like, so Adam and Jeff, we talked about it on the pregame. This was his 3rd game being activated, right? So he has to either be signed to the 53 for the remainder of the season, or he remains on practice squad and you can't like bring him up again, right? So that has to occur. That has to occur with him. So I know that they're trying to test it out. So I don't necessarily know what the game plan is, because I know that they're looking at it like what we're looking at, and he can't gain 15 pounds tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, because I believe he has talent, he has the quickness, he has the speed, he has all of that, but he needs to gain some weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Before he lose a body part.
That's what I was about to say. Something gonna pop off one of these times.
Yeah, it's on you.
All right, so let's talk about the defense a little bit. Sorry about that. Pat. Yeah, let's talk about the pass rush. What do you think? So, we had 9 sacks. Carson looked very pedestrian, like deer in the headlights look. What do you think changed, and what do you think happened to let our D-line get off like they did?
Well, there was a few things, right? And I talked about this before the game. I picked my player of the game that I picked was Josh Sweat. I should have picked Brandon Graham, right? I didn't think that the old dog had the tricks no more, but he brought him out like magic. He was out there like Durham boss, turning back the hands of time. But it was everyone. But when you look at, I thought it was a few things. I thought it was the injury to their starting center, right? They have their starting center has been out. Chase Roulier, he's out. So they had Schweitzer in there, and he was getting moved at will by everyone. He was getting the blues, and then you had those guards in there that are very, very old. You had Andrew Norwell, who was in Carolina 10 years ago, and you got Trey, who was the other guard? Trey Turner. Trey Turner, I was, when he was a rookie, I was in Carolina with him, and he was a Pro Bowl type of player, but they're older now, and they can't handle these young guys that are coming in there that strong anymore. So their middle three of the offensive line was really bad that game, and then their left tackle was really bad that game, and their right tackle was getting sacked. Like, so it just didn't happen at all. I thought they didn't have the chemistry up front, and then our athletes up front were better than theirs, clearly, by far. Jordan Davis on the second play of the game just literally picked up the center and moved them to the left and knocked the ball down, or second drive, I think. Yeah. Maybe it was the second play of the game. I can't remember which one it was, but just literally moved them out of the way. So that's one thing. And now I got to give Jonathan Gannon credit for this, because I did not see this from him yet. I didn't see the version of man where they pass everything off and keep the linebacker in the middle as the spy until the running back comes out. And it was a very, very strategic wrinkle that confused the hell out of Carson Wentz. Right? Because man to man, you follow, our team normally follows, but they passed it off to the middle defenders. There was a safety that was down. Garner Johnson was down. Epps was back, and TJ Edwards was down. And those two passed everything off, and the two outside corners were just passing and picking up when they would do the crossing routes. So they had man concepts for them on third down, but when they passed them off, it was like, oh, what's going on? I don't know what to do. And helped cause Carson to hold the ball, and they got literally 3 sacks off of that defense alone. So I got to give Jonathan Gannon credit for that, because I haven't seen. I hate that defense, by the way. I hate it. I hated it when I play when the corners they are in man, but they pass you off to safety or pass you off to the linebacker, and they stay on the same side and pick up the next crosser that comes. I hate that defense because it is confusing. It is confusing. Like, the only play that you have is the guys that's over the middle. That's the outside guys are kind of eliminated when you go on crossing routes. Yeah.
I like that defense. Dang it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It confused Carson for sure. It caused him to hold the ball a second. He didn't know he was unsure, and the defensive line was already, overpowering.
One thing too, I want to add to that I like that Gannon did. A lot of the sacks, if you go back and watch, most of them were in 4-man rushes.
Yeah.
There was one, I believe, in a 5-man rush. But what the linebackers were doing with that young center, they were walking up and basically engaging the center's eyes to try to get those one-on-ones outside. So yeah, it was like a 5-man look to force the protections to be in one-on-ones, and those guys were just pinning it back. So I like the fact that he created pressure a different way by attacking their blocking schemes, which I thought was really cool. So kudos to him. I think all across the board, I think he did a really good job there.
And I'll say one more thing with that, and you're definitely right. That's a great point by you, because it changes the protection when you bring that guy up to the line of scrimmage, right? So the other thing I'll say to that is that the Eagles' last game against the Vikings and the game versus the Lions as well, they were in, when they would go bring Jordan Davis in the game, they would bring a 5-man front, right? Jordan Davis being the nose and having the two other bigger guys, Fletch and Hargrave in there. And then you had your two outside rushers going when those guys were in the game. With Curtis Samuel being so dynamic and being so a very integral part of the offense, and them doing it, they didn't want to get caught with one of those linebackers, quote unquote, Hassan Reddick, Sweat, one of those guys on him when he was in the backfield. So they went to a 4-man front, which is very, very smart by this team. So it shows some adaptability, some awareness on Jonathan Gannon's part, because if you stayed in that 5-man front, you was going to get one of those receivers and or Gibson one-on-one with one of those outside linebackers that we designate, right? Strong linebacker, whatever you want to call them, one of the defensive ends. And we didn't want that. So we went to a 4-man front, put an extra DB on the field, we're good, or extra linebacker on the field, we're good. And it worked out. Yeah.
That's good, man.
That we got technical right there, Q.
Yeah. That's good, man. We do a little of everything, man. So continue with that. Were you impressed with TJ Edwards with this game he had?
TJ Edwards? I would say this is one thing about TJ Edwards, is that TJ Edwards is starting to become one of my favorite players, because TJ Edwards is meat on defense, right? I'm not saying like I smack people. What I'm saying is that the measurables don't add up to the production. And why this guy's always near the football, why he's on the field with one linebacker in the game. When they're in a 5-man front, they don't put in Kaiser White, which is a faster, more athletic player. They're keeping TJ Edwards in the game, who runs a 4.8 40 and is covering people and breaking up passes. Yeah. So he just shows up no matter what you put in front of him. And I gotta love that and respect that, because that's the type of player that I was. It doesn't make sense that I was able to play 10 years. It doesn't make sense that I was able to get open on some of the guys I was able to get open on, because my measurables don't add up. And so I see myself in him. So I can't do nothing but cheer for him, because the dude is a freaking football player. And so I'm starting to fall in love with the way the guy plays, gets everyone lined up, super smart. In order for you to do that, right, to overcome those deficits, you got to be super smart. And he's definitely that. And he brings the blues when he's in there. So I love the way TJ Edwards played. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, everything you said there, I agree with. Especially early on, I wasn't all the way sold on him, but he's grown on me a lot. I love his physicality. I just always thought that he was, a little bit too slow to play certain positions, but he was spot on yesterday. Yesterday.
You know what it is that guys, I don't know what it is. It's like, if one thing isn't there, it's like a person that doesn't hear well. They're gonna have keen sight, keen smell. I think it just amplifies it. And when a guy doesn't run well, he's going to be super analytical and be able to diagnose the play faster, right? So he's going to adapt and adjust. And I just think that's him, and his ability to recognize concepts, know what's coming. When somebody goes in motion, he's on it. Like, oh, I see you trying to put him at 3. I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna be on his butt right now. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think his senses are heightened because he can't run.
I got you. Makes sense. All right. Where are we at now?
Yeah. So let's talk about Brandon Graham sacks. Talk about it. Talk about Brandon Graham and his sacks.
My guy, man. it was so good just seeing him out there getting after it, having fun, man. You know, BG, man, he's got such a good heart.
Yeah.
And anytime a guy gets injured, and the way it happened last year was really tough to see. And we even were unsure if he was going to be back this year. But it was amazing seeing him, man. And to me, the best part about anytime Brandon gets a sack is because he is just outworking everybody else on the field. No matter who he's in front of, no matter who's out there on the field, he is going to outwork everyone. And so, a couple of those, well, definitely one was a cover sack, and probably the other one, I think he had two of them. They were cover sacks, but I mean, he was unstoppable. He was not to be denied on both of those. And so, kudos to him, man. I was happy seeing that. Me and my younger son Champ is a huge BG fan. So, when he got them sacks, we were all, yeah,
let's go.
Oh, crazy, let's go. So yeah, man, it was incredible seeing it.
It was crazy because we wanted that production early. They found the offensive line and they put themselves right at the top of the league, right? One game. So I was happy to see. Hey, bad offensive line to get you there, won't it? Like, oh man, they've been bad in the past where it's only 2 sacks or 3 sacks, and now you got 9 in one game. It's like, there it is. Isn't it crazy how that happens? But yeah, Carson Wentz definitely looked shell-shocked and confused with the coverage that was being played. And also his guys weren't helping him out a bunch. When he was off, they didn't make a play. When he was on, they dropped the pass. It was just an overall bad game for them in general. But I was glad to see how Jalen showed the Eagles nation, the organization, and everyone that was concerned about that transaction, Carson for Jalen for Carson, whatever you want to call it, that we picked the right guy. Because one guy is calm and cool under pressure. Even though he gets blitzed, even though there's pressure, he still makes good decisions with the football. It's only 1 or 2 plays I wish he had back. No, 3, 4 or 5 plays, because he missed a lot of deep balls this game. And even some of the deep balls that were caught were still underthrown. Yeah. 3 of them needed to be underthrown. But there's another few that were underthrown that shouldn't have been. But overall, man, like I was happy to see him dominate Carson Wentz like that, and show the organization and the fans why they chose him over Carson. Yeah.
Carson. And my last thing about him too. And I think on the opposite side of that, just seeing that game showed exactly why the Eagles moved on. And I don't want to, bash him too much, because he was getting hit every play almost. But when there were players there, checked down, he's the same player that he was here, that he was with the Colts. It's almost like he refuses to take what the defense is given. There was multiple times where he could have just given up on the play and given check down, just take what they give you. And he refused to it, and it costed him a couple sacks, costed him some big plays. So same guy that that we were struggling with a couple years ago, man. So
great point, because there's no way that you're going to be an elite quarterback in this league and give up 9 sacks. And I would say a good 6 of those sacks were definitely sacks that you could have gotten rid of the ball with. Talking about the ball is in your hand at 3.3, 3.4 seconds. Like, it can't be in your hand that long. And this. And it wasn't just on the 3rd down. This was 1st down, the 2nd down. Dude, just check the ball down to Gibson. Check the ball down to Samuel. Do it. It was 3rd and 5. On one of the plays I was telling you, with the coverage kind of confused them, they still had a crossing pattern. Oh, the guy may get hit, but he wasn't getting like blindsided hit. He would have got hit, but he'd been short, but the ball would have been out of hand. Now the offensive line is like, dude, we hate your guts. Like 9 sacks, the offensive line want to murder you right now. Like, they're literally planning a way to get you out of there. 9 sacks? Listen. They hate your guts. They're in there talking about you right now. Like, man, this month right here trying to get all of us kicked out of the league. That's how that works, ladies and gentlemen. Like, offensive line hate when you don't throw the ball away when you can, or don't throw the ball at someone's feet. You scramble toward the sideline and run out of bounds, and it's technically counted as a sack. Man, they hate, man, throw the ball out of bounds. Messing up our good name. Facts. I remember Trey Thomas telling Donovan that. Man, hey, man, throw the ball. Trey Thomas was notorious for calling the meeting in the middle of a play. hey.
Oh man, Trey was funny.
Trey was funny. I remember we was playing Washington. We were at Washington, and doggone Donovan had a 3-step drop, and the ball didn't come out in 3 steps, and the player was open in there, and he took another step back and got a sack. Man, Trey wasn't having that. He was not having that. Hey man, what you doing? What you doing? Get the ball out. Yeah, that's funny stuff. All right, this episode is always brought to you by Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. Come check us out. We are located right in the shopping center behind Olive Garden. We have laser tag. We have Ninja Warrior. We have slam ball. We have virtual reality. We have playground. We have pizza, birthday parties, full arcade, basketball, dodgeball, stunt bag, anything that you want for your kids, we have it there. And I'm always there giving out a great time to the kids that are coming in, making sure that they smile, making sure they have the best memories and the best time of their life. Make sure you check us out, Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. We are the best in the area. If you want less, go somewhere else. If you want the best, come check your boy out because we like that. Let's go.
Let's go. All right, so let's go to the next segment, man. So, from a receiver standpoint, I guess from your standpoint, how did you see the Washington Commanders game plan wise to try to stop Hurts? Like, what did you notice from their game plan?
I don't think that they put a big emphasis on trying to stop Hurts. I think that they played their defense. Remember, they were short in the secondary, William Jackson, right, which is their man corner. Kendall Fuller historically has been a zone corner. Him and his brother are better at zone than they are at man-to-man. And then you add, St. Juice there and a few other guys. And so then you had a backup that was playing as well. So you can't play the man-to-man that you normally would. So you're going to be in heavy zone, hoping that your pass rush gets there. They're not in love with their linebacker situation. So I don't think that they did anything in particular to say, let me limit Jalen Hurts, because they didn't blitz him a bunch. They didn't, drop in coverage, as much as Ed Donatel did. They were in the middle. Jack Del Rio was in the middle. And they went man-to-man every now and again. And our guys were just better than them on the outside. That's what it was. They were just better on the outside. Yeah. And when you look at the offense in general, Jalen Hurts, 22, 35, 343 touchdowns, right? 9, 20 rushing, right? When you look at it, freaking Devonta Smith out-athleted a dude 3 straight times. Yeah. That's what it was. He out-athleted the guy 3 straight times. And those plays, ladies and gentlemen, are not normal. Don't think that they are normal. Don't go out there and be like, oh, that's just normal. No, they're not. You shouldn't be 150 pounds doing that type of stuff. Shouldn't be. To be able to go up on top of someone's head on a 50-50 ball and come down with it 3 times in a row is very, very elite at this level. With a dude that has extremely good ball skills. Both Fuller brothers have extremely good ball skills. And he's in position on both of those, knocking at the ball, swiping at them, trying to get them out. I'm like, dude, where's this strength coming from? Because he only weighs 150 pounds. Those were 2 amazing plays, 3 amazing plays, 3 amazing, difficult, hard plays. And when that's what you want from this receiving core that's above average. Like average is the guy getting hit in stride. The NFL receiver is supposed to make that. A pop fly in baseball, he's supposed to do that. All right, that's equivalent. What Devonta Smith did was going and grabbing a home run over the gate by jumping on the wall and catching it backwards. Yeah. That's what he was doing out there. It wasn't normal. And that, just talks about our receivers. And we know what A.J. Brown is. You get him the ball, you throw him a 5-yard play. Next thing you know, it's going for 21 yards. And he's big boying people. The ball was behind on Devonta Smith's balls. A couple of them, one was almost out of bounds. He went to go get it. Just so much margin for error for the quarterback. Even A.J. Brown's first touchdown, the ball was thrown behind him. The guy couldn't get through his body. Swole Batman. Back muscles extend. Can't get around them. And then it wasn't that he just reached back and grabbed it. When your momentum is going backwards, normally you fall down that way. No, Swole Batman has enough core strength. Turn it and still get up the field and get in the end zone. Just different athletes, man. Yeah. Just different athletes. That's what I would say. It's a very good time to be an Eagles wide receiver and be an Eagles fan. This receiving core, one of the best right now. Like the way they're trending is going to be one of the best in the Eagles history. If not the best. So they're trending that way. If those dudes keep making plays like that, those were playmakers making plays. That wasn't just players. Those were playmakers making plays. We could just throw it up there and get those results. And check this out. Jalen Hurts missed those dudes 4 or 5 times down the field just by laying the ball short.
Yeah. And they made it right.
And they made it right sometimes. Sometimes they couldn't get to it. But, A.J. Brown went to top somebody. Kendall Fuller had a terrible game, and he was in position the whole game. That's a terrible time, right? When you in position the entire time as a DB and you can't get the ball out, it's like, man, that sucks.
Chalk it up. One of them.
That sucks. That sucks. He's just like, man, they just better athletes tonight. Shoot. Lord, why did you give me more vertical, longer arm?
That was me my whole life. I just want to be a little bit taller, man. God, why didn't you give me like maybe 2 or 3 more inches taller, man?
Yeah. I done covered a lot right there, Q.
Yeah. No, I mean, so while we're kind of on that, one of the big plays right before the half, Devonta getting that sideline, the 45-yard catch. Depending on what team you root for, it should have been challenged.
Should have been challenged. He should challenge that right away.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. Why do you think that he didn't challenge right away? Why do you think Ron Rivera didn't throw the flag right away?
They always want to get the confirmation upstairs because the challenges are so important. Because you only get a challenge if you get both of them right? You get one added, you get both of them right, you get an extra one. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. If you get the challenge right, you should keep it.
Yeah.
One, that's the way this rule should be. You get the challenge right, you should keep the challenge, right? So, but they don't want to be in a situation in the last minute where, they're out of a challenge. So they always ask the guy upstairs that is designated for that. And if he gets it in late, I don't know. It could be if he doesn't get confirmation completely, it's just up to the coach's discretion. And depending on how aggressive he is or not, it depends on the coach. So I'm pretty sure the guy got the call down a little bit late saying, you know what, it's a 50-50 chance that because they call it a catch on the field, they may see it because he hit. I don't know what the rule is because his right foot hit twice. I don't know. Do you know the rule on it? I should know that as a receiver, but his right foot hits twice. I don't think that's count. I believe that doesn't count as 2 feet, but
I don't think so either.
Yeah. So, but I want to look up that rule and I should know that, but his right, I don't think it does, but his right foot hits twice and then his left foot didn't slide. Yeah.
I would have. So, I mean, I would have challenged it just because it's right. It was the end of the half.
Well,
right?
no, that was the first. That was at the beginning. That was at the beginning. That was in the first quarter. You
Was
meant
it?
the
I thought it was like that.
the one that was right before half was the one that he caught in the left corner in the end zone.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
right before half was him catching the one on top of Kyle Fuller's head and McCain's
Oh
head,
yeah, you're right.
and then he ended up catching a corner out on I said Kyle Fuller, Kendall Fuller.
Okay. I still would have challenged it.
Yeah, challenge it. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, man. All right, let's move on.
I would say I would ask you this question about like the overall state of the offense. Do you like this gear toward the pass? And then second part of that question, offensive line is not looking as dominant in the run game. The second half of these last two games. Now there's been running lanes. Do you think it's just because we haven't made it the emphasis the last two games? Like even when we're up, we're throwing the ball at a higher rate. I'm like, why are we throwing the ball this much?
Yeah. I'll say this overall, right now it's tough to have many gripes about the overall state of the offense. I mean, they're putting points up, they're scoring, they need to be able to finish games better. But I think there's going to be a time where a team's going to figure it out, and they're going to figure out the perfect formula. And just like we've always said, you've got to be able to run the ball in critical situations. Looking at what Miles Sanders had, 15 carries. Jalen Hurts, he had 15 carries, 46 yards. Hurts had 9 carries for 20. Gainwell had 3 for 6. That's not enough. Especially when you get later in the season, you're trying to get to that playoff push. You're going to have to be able to run the ball. And the thing that scares me the most is that you don't want to get to the point where you're going to need it to run the ball. You're going to need to close out games, and you haven't done it all year.
Yeah.
Because towards the end of the year, that's when it's going to become critical to be able to finish these games out. So to me right now, I think everything's all fine and dandy. You're winning, but they need to start running the ball more. They need to start letting these linemen start to tee off, because after a while they're gonna get sick of taking drop steps and getting teed off on an entire game. You know what I mean? So
I just don't want, and I agree with you, I just don't want the run game to go. I don't want the pass game to be 70-30. I would like the run game and the pass game to be 50-50, 60-40 pass at the most, right? Somewhere in there between 50 and 60% pass, right? So somewhere in there is great. When you start getting above that number, you start getting into that 70% range where 70-30, like it's starting to get confusing. You got road graders up front that enjoy doing, love run blocking. And so I would say that would be my biggest critique of the offense, but you can't say anything because the first half that they're doing. But the defense have been playing out of their mind because they're holding the teams, 7 points or 0 points, late in these games, which is uncommon. Usually a team has, they come back. Yeah. If you're not scoring, you're not continuing to score, normally they come back. Our defense has done a great job. They played really well. So I would say that we got to figure out. And another thing too is that we need more creative extensions of the run rather than RPO. Like more. And when I say that, why don't we ever see like a standard bootleg or standard play action play? Like, why don't we see a stretch, old school stretch play action back to one side where it's a simple dump off in the flat? Like those are plays that kind of win you ball games, right? Because that's an extension of the run game. You hit the tight end in the flat or an over route. Yeah, it's simple, but it's something that we should be able to do because we run the ball so effectively. Right. So just like little things like that, like more creativity when it comes to closing out these ball games, more creative play calling in those moments rather than passing it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Gonna need it.
We're definitely going to need it. Last thing I'll say before we wrap this show up, Q. Do you see Dallas Goedert with the hip swivel? That
Oh
was a
yeah.
basketball move. That was a basketball move. That was a little hip swivel. Like that's one of them Tyler Hero moves, right? A little hip swivel, and then that was a straight basketball move. I was like, yo, did he just do that? That was amazing. That wasn't normally. I was like, did the tight end just use a basketball hip swivel?
That was nice, man.
That was really nice. I was like, he just did it. Like First of all, ladies and gentlemen, basketball players make the best football players offensively.
Especially tight end too.
Tight end, receivers, they make the best football players offensively. So yeah, it was that was a dirty move. I was like, yo, that was dirty. Great job by Dallas. That was dirty. Oh, they're going to eat him alive in the film room because he didn't have anywhere to go. It was like a blocker to the left of him, a guy coming on the right, and you miss a tackle within 1 yard. He had 1 yard worth of width there. He misses it.
I want to see it again. I'm gonna try to pull it back up.
It was dirty.
Gotta check the hip swivel.
Oh, you gotta check it out. It was nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that one out again.
All right, Q. We're gonna save the rest. We got some fun games coming up. Some fun games going up. We should win a lot of these games that are coming up. But we got is it old Dougie that's coming in here?
Yeah, Dougie P.
Oh, Dougie Fresh. Dougie Fresh.
They were already asking him today. I saw on Instagram.
Yeah.
How do you think your reception is going to be coming into Eagle Stadium? And
you know they're gonna boom.
Yeah.
What do you think is gonna happen?
That's pretty much what he said.
That's what he said. He said, "What do you think is gonna?" They're gonna boo the hell out of him, like he didn't win a Super Bowl, and like there is no statue outside. They're not gonna be like, "Yo, thanks for the Super Bowl." Boo! You paid Carson Wentz.
Oh man.
If it wasn't for Nick Foles, that would be like this is gonna happen. Facts.
I can't wait to see it, man. It's gonna be
fun stuff.
It could be a little bit of a trap. Well, I wouldn't say it's a trap.
No, it's not trap. They played really well this past week.
Yeah.
They played really well. Now, you can definitely tell that, Herbert's fractured ribs are definitely like hindering him. And they didn't have any Keenan Allen. When you got a team playing as much man coverage as Jacksonville is playing, you need that guy that can get open. And Mike Williams is a big body guy that doesn't get open. So if he's not making that contested catch, he's not going to be as effective. But Keenan Allen is one of those dudes he's built for a team that plays that way because he will eat you alive. With 13 catches for 160 yards with a team that plays man coverage. So you don't have that guy, and you got the guy with cracked ribs. But give Jacksonville their credit. Trevor Lawrence played pretty well that game. So we'll see how it's rolling out for this week. I can't wait to get Jacksonville film up and start studying it.
No doubt.
Yep. Q, it's always good to see your face, man. Thank you as always. Thank you to all the fans out there that are tuning into the Q&A podcast. Make sure that you email your questions to insidethebirds@gmail.com. Check us out, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, Inside the Birds YouTube channel, Apple Music, Amazon. And make sure that we bring the noise to the stadium and boo the hell out of Doug Peterson this week. To all the fans that tune in, thank you guys so much, Jeff and Adam and Josh and Tyler. Everyone, thank you guys for making the Q&A podcast a success. Q has the last words.
As always, man, it's been a pleasure. I love talking to you, love talking ball, love talking about the birds. As you can see, go Birds representing. But yeah, man, as always, been great.
Sweet.
See
Peace.
you next week.